There we go. Okay, is anybody hearing me? Do we have anybody, any comments? Can anybody hear me? This is the first time I've done a live stream.
Oh.
Howdy. How's it going? So we're doing citizenship. I didn't know if anybody wanted to see anything in particular. Was there anything you wanted to see or anything like that?
No, right off the top of my head at the moment.
Okay, well, I was going to go through citizenship.
I think basics is always good. Plus, build a new, I think more shorter videos tend to get more views.
Right.
So maybe we could also start doing things in smaller segments and then that way you can one of three,
Yeah. Well, usually, yeah,
Just a thought.
something to think about. Oh, I know what I have to do. I got to start this thing recording.
You want any coffee, Glenn?
No, I got tea, thanks.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it's recording.
Yeah, we went over to the other room. Tara was making coffee and we're expecting people over there. So
Yeah.
I didn't realize that
I was going to go over there, but the Wi-Fi wasn't working. And then Nelson basically shut down everything except the router over here, and it started working here. It wasn't working here either. And I was working over there last night. Worked great over there last night, all night. But I guess it's just the distance from the router or something.
Yeah, I don't know where the router is.
He said it's upstairs and over there a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was going to use my phone. I got my hotspot in my phone. I could use that if I had to, but that is
You're limited on that because that's. Huh? Is that unlimited data on that? Because that will burn up a lot.
It does. I get 8 gigabytes every month though.
Yeah.
So I've got like about 16 gigs available, and so it accumulates.
Yeah. Well, I know mine's the same on the AT&T plan, so I get 8 gig. Rolls over to the next month.
Right.
If you don't use any of it, then you go back to 8 gig again for the month after that. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it doesn't keep rolling on.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I found that out.
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting because I used up 16 gig one time. I was out in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico where there was nothing else available, basically, and you're lucky to get signal in a place like this.
Yeah.
And so I was using my portable hotspot, and I burned up 16 gigs to the point that, and it wasn't quite the end of the month, eh? So I had to go several days where I didn't have any data, and so I couldn't do anything hardly. I could make phone calls and get texts, but no data at all.
Yeah.
And anyways, so we're gonna.
We can go forward actually, but it just goes very, 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 very slow.
Yeah, it was very slow. It's right, and it was once I got even then, to charge it again, you know what I mean? That even takes data.
Yeah.
And it was just a major pain in the butt, let me tell you. I'll make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
But anyways. We're talking about citizenship here. And there we go. We got somebody.
Come on in.
So we got someone that's in the room. And we're talking about citizenship. I haven't done a live stream before, so I'm kind of learning new about this. But here's the live stream. Oh, looks like there's some people that are watching. Right, there's some people that are watching. Okay, good. Thanks for the comments, everybody. Appreciate your comments. This is the first time I've done a live stream. I hope you can hear me good. Can you hear me fine? I think it sounds like you can. Everybody seems to be, somebody's got their hand up. Can you hear me? I hear some breathing. Sound is good. Excellent. Perfect.
We can hear you.
Well, under the current regime, it says, how do you renounce your citizenship and become an American national? That's easier said than done, quite frankly. Technically, you're supposed to go in a foreign country and renounce it. Actually, I'm involved in the Republic of Texas, and in my advanced weekend, I'm going to be doing a video on protected status under international law. So some of that is going to be live streamed, and some of it will be in the exclusive videos. Most of that will be in the exclusive videos, and some of it will be on YouTube. And but yeah, there's since I'm involved with the Republic of Texas, that is, well, we'll go into it more. And under international law, I'm considered a protected person under international law. And really, if you think about it, and this is one of the things I wanted to, I might even make that one public because it's something that everybody really should know. Anyways, under federal statutes, and I'm just going to breeze over a little bit touch on it because there's people that are answering. Under federal statutes, a foreign government could be any. It says it's 18 U.S.C. Section 11, and it says that a foreign government is any government group, and it even says a group of insurrectionists. I think it says group of. Let me go and get it. It's pretty good. Nelson, if you got a stapler, I made some copies of this, but I don't have a stapler, so it'd be nice to. Anyways, if somebody wants a copy of this. Anyways, under 18 U.S.C. Section 11 says a foreign government, as used in this title, includes any government, faction, or body of insurgents within a country with which the United States is at peace, irrespective of recognition by the United States. And that is so, because that's what these bureaucrats, I'll say, to call it nicely, in Texas, when we get stopped by the police, that's the first thing they say is, well, we don't recognize the Republic of Texas. Well, we don't need your recognition. And there's actually, then you go to 18 U.S.C. Section 112, and it says protection of foreign officials, official guests, and internationally protected persons. And it basically makes it so that your private conveyance, they can't touch that, your home, all sorts of stuff. And anyways, so that's all going to be on the next weekend presentation. That's a little primer for it. For anybody that some of that will be on. I might make that one on YouTube just because of the fact that is so that everybody needs to know it. I try to make everything that everybody needs to know, make that public, and then the good to know stuff, make that, subscription material. But anyways, so we're talking about citizenship today. I have, let's see. I think there's, let me look here again. Oh, there's loud and clear. Chris, okay, good, is on the chat, and that's good. And so, and you're seeing the Chris, you're seeing the PowerPoint presentation as well. Could you please respond to that as well, please? I've never done a live stream, so perfect. This is the first time around for me. Anyways, so we'll go through this presentation. We're going to kind of go quickly because this is basically the same presentation that's already uploaded to YouTube. And so I'll be watching periodically for anybody that has any questions. But in the chat, in the live stream chat, there's a whole bunch of stuff going by. So it's I won't necessarily be checking that all the time. See all that stuff anyway. So that's good. That's good. This is the first time I've done a live stream. So copies of these documents can be found you can't find it in my private group at Yahoo. Matter of fact, Yahoo deleted that directory, and it's now a lot of that stuff is located on my website, www.sovereigntyinternational.fyi. That Yahoo group is going to be deleted in December. Yahoo is closing down all our groups, and so the only thing I'll have then is a Google group. Then I've also got a Telegram group for anybody that's interested in that. I've also got a MeWe group, off the top of my head, that's about all I can think of right now. Donations to support this work are appreciated. I prefer gold or silver coin, but as an extremely less desirable alternative, I can accept the fake money, the IOUs, the Federal Reserve notes, the PayPal gifts, the checks, the money orders. Send me an email for particulars. For those of you who don't know why I put that in there, that is because there's a Supreme Court case called United States, or it's Carlisle versus United States, or United States versus Carlisle. I think it's Carlisle versus United States. Anyways, 1873, and it says that everyone not privileged is sovereign. So using Federal Reserve notes, and this is one of the things that I do. I've got a Form 220 video, or a 1020 video. And I would highly recommend you watch that thing. That is so slick. Kerry Zolman is the one that came up with that. He's brilliant. And basically, the problem is that Federal Reserve notes don't pay anything. Okay, they discharge debt with limited liability, and that's a privilege. And you didn't know that, I'll bet, did you? And so it's a privilege of using Federal Reserve notes. And so if you put in some sort of an objection like what I've got right here, then they can't tax you. Otherwise, that's why the taxing authorities come to you and presume you want to use those Federal Reserve notes. And so I've had people send me emails, taxman@gmail.com, saying, please send me your price list. Sure, no problem. And it's got the same kind of stuff in there and never hear back from them. I don't know why they didn't want to order anything, Anyways, I expect they probably didn't want to order anything in the first place. They were trying to build a case. Anyways, so that's a privilege. Using Federal Reserve notes is a privilege. You cannot pay anything with Federal Reserve notes. That's the power of the Form 1020, because you send it to them and you say, no problem. I'll pay whatever you want me to pay. You tell me what to pay, and have your lawyer, because they all have officers, they all have oaths of office. Have your lawyer sign this thing telling me what to pay, and they'll never send it back. So then you send them a notice of default, an opportunity to cure, and then a final notice of default, and then at the end of that thing, it says, I don't owe you anything, and it all goes away. It's kind of magic. Anyways, so we're at the Northeast Private Information Share, and wish you were here. There's a bunch of people on my YouTube live stream, and I wish it would be nice if, we got some people here, but, so you're missing out on some really good information. So we're at the Northeast Private.
Sorry.
Well, we know it works, right? Yeah. Anyways, and if you have, this would be the great place if you have questions and stuff. If you come, and then we can meet and go out to lunch and things like that, and you can ask me questions. And certainly, hey, I don't know everything. That'll be the first thing I say. I don't know everything. The stuff that I can tell you, the stuff that I've done, and the stuff that I know that works. You know, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of theories out there, people with their unproven theories, and so you have to be careful. And so I'm pretty careful about that stuff. And I really don't usually talk about things unless I know that it works. Someone's asking about the passport. I believe that does work, but my passport expired a long time ago, and I just haven't got it renewed, and I'm not sure that I will. You know, I like being a protected person under international law. That has a lot of some really interesting implications, and so that's kind of like where I'm thinking about going, because you know, then I could actually go to Canada and renounce the slave, and then show them my Republic of Texas ID card coming back, and they wouldn't be able to do anything about it. They'd have to let me go across. Anyway, so I kind of like that, I'll tell you. And we need to, and that's the power of the jural assemblies and setting up our own common law courts. And so we all need to be looking at that. Okay. We need to basically, you know, in my opinion, you just need to walk away from all of this. It's Satanism is what it is. I talk about that in my book, Trump, a True American Patriot or Not. That's not, I'm not going to be, that's not in this PowerPoint presentation, but I talk about that in my book. Anyways, so back to the issue of sovereignty. So sovereignty exists because of common law. People in all countries with the common law of England owe their sovereignty to the common law. It's actually, it's all over the planet. And it comes back to natural law. Okay. And, but the problem is that most countries are under military dictatorship, and that turns everything on its head. And so all people in all countries with the common law of England owe their sovereignty to the common law. In Canada, United States, Australia, New Zealand, all common law countries in the world, the people are the sovereignty. And but what happens, and I'm not even sure, let's do a little search here. Well, there it is. The rights of sovereignty extend to all persons and things not privileged that are within the territory. They extend to all strangers. See, they're using words out of the Bible here. Okay, you read the Old Testament. It says in there, in Exodus and places like that, it says that the children of Israel commanded to treat the strangers like those born in the land, because they were strangers in the land of Egypt. So think about it. They were enslaved because they were strangers. And that's exactly what they're doing to people today. They're enslaving them because they're saying, I'm a stranger, I'm a person. You see what I'm saying? And so that's really what it comes down to. This is all, I mean, this is diabolically evil is what's going on. The United States is bankrupt. It's owned and operated by its creditors, and they're Satanists. And they work on Roman law. And in case you don't know about Roman law, all mortgages fall under Roman law. The negotiable instrument law is a subset of Roman law. That's how where Federal Reserve notes come in, and where stocks and bonds and all of this stuff. It all falls under Roman law. And there's a maxim of Roman law that says that it says, let he who wishes to be deceived be deceived. So that's their justification for lying and cheating and stealing and doing all the stuff they do. They're Satanists is what they are. It's all satanic. And, you know, the sooner we figure this out, I think a lot of people are starting to figure it out now. But you know, it's a lot of people are being abused pretty seriously because of it. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. Sovereignty is the right to rule. Sovereign can be a king or queen. It can be a group of people. It can be a man or woman. A sovereign is a chief ruler with supreme power. A king or other ruler with limited power and action is not maintainable against a foreign sovereign. And that's true. Matter of fact, there's even U.S. Supreme Court cases that say that the people cannot be degraded by appearing with each other in their own courts to have their controversies determined. So, and so that's what I tell them. I said, this court is my court and is the property of the whoever, Anyways, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which has connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them. See, now we're talking about the law of nature. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. And then it goes on, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And this is taken from the Declaration of Independence. The law of nature, nature's God. And so the reason I bring that up is because, so we're talking natural law, and where does that come from? And we're going to talk about that. Blackstone's commentaries on the laws of England. This phrase, the law of nature, nature's God, is taken from that set of books, which Blackstone was an English jurist, and he fell out of favor with the king. In other words, he got fired, and he was a judge, and he got fired, and by the king, and so then he went into politics, and he wrote this book, set of books. It's a 4-volume set called Blackstone's Commentaries on the Laws of England, and the guy's brilliant. Of course, he would be. He was a judge. Anyways, this law of nature being coeval with mankind and dictated by God himself is, of course, superior in obligation to any other. It is binding over all the globe and all countries and at all times. No human laws are of any validity if contrary to this, and such of them as are valid derive all their force, all their authority immediately from this original. So again, it goes back to what's in the Bible. That's really where it comes from, and God. And I might say, people say, and even on the money, it says, in God we trust. I always wonder, which God are they talking about? You guys ever wonder that?
Yeah, it's true.
And so I always say, when they ask me the God, I always say it's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Anyways, and then Blackstone's commentaries goes on, says this is given manifold occasion for the benign interposition of divine providence, which in compassion to the frailty and the imperfection and the blindness of human reason hath been pleased at sundry times and in diverse manners to discover and enforce its laws by an immediate and direct revelation. So that's interesting. Revelation. The doctrines thus delivered we call the revealed or divine law, and they are to be found only in the Holy Scriptures. See, America was founded by Christians, by people that were Christians, but they got tired. When you read, and this is in my book, what happened is the Roman cult had basically had monopolized the church in England, and they were doing these inquisitions and torturing people, and all in the name of Christianity, and murdering people and doing all sorts of stuff. And so that's why there was such a flood of people leaving Europe, is because they wanted to get away from the tyranny of the Roman cult, is really what it comes down to. And you look at history and the stuff like the Spanish Inquisition and all of the stuff that the Roman cult was involved in. And it just goes on and on for centuries, for thousands of years. They've been doing this stuff. It's nothing new. And it continues to this day. And they now own and operate the United States. There's a Supreme Court case called Downs versus Bidwell, where the Supreme Court said there's two national governments. I talk about it in my book. One operates within the Constitution, the other one does not. And so if you look, a good example, people say, okay, well, that's nice to know. But if you look at a Federal Reserve note, it says right on the top of the Federal Reserve note, pull one out. It says the United States of America. And if you go to the Articles of Confederation, Article 1 says the style of this confederacy shall be the United States of America. So that's the real one. That's the legitimate one. And then what happened is in 1871, Congress set up a corporation called United States of America. And that one is an unconstitutional corporation. That one you'll see on passports. You'll see it on Silver Eagles. It'll be on Silver Eagles. It'll be on Air Force One. It'll be all over the place where they need something that's not authorized by the Constitution. And that makes a lot of sense, actually, if you think about it. And so it's perfectly appropriate, in my opinion, to be used under some circumstances. But that's who Trump is dealing with, is a bunch of pirates. It's owned and operated by the Roman cult, and they're treating it as their own little racketeering enterprise. And that's exactly what's going on. That's why Pelosi will get up in Congress and say, we can't read this bill until after we pass it, because she's taking orders from the owners. Anyways, these precepts, when revealed, are found upon comparison to be really a part of the original law of nature. So therefore, the scriptures are considered part of the law of nature. The scriptures are considered part of the law of nature. That's Blackstone's Commentaries on the Laws of England. And it goes on. Upon these two foundations, the law of nature and the law of revelation, depend all human laws. That is to say, no human laws should be suffered to contradict these. What's found in the Bible. This is a U.S. versus Morris. Every citizen and freeman is endowed with certain rights and privileges to enjoy which no written law or statute is required. These are fundamental or natural rights recognized among all free people. As a general rule, men have the natural right to do anything which their inclinations may suggest, if it be not evil in itself and in nowhere impairs the rights of others. So this is all talking about natural law, right? Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified when there's a new upload. This is my front page. The subscribe button's already been clicked. The bell hasn't, because it would look like it's vibrating if it had. And so the arrow's pointing at the bell, and that's what you got to click. Sovereignty is the right to govern a nation or state. Sovereign is the person or persons in whom that resides. That's Chisholm versus Georgia, 1793. In a common law country, the sovereigns are the people. The law of nature is everywhere. So who are the sovereigns? That's we the people in America. Any common law country. I've seen court cases in Australia, Canada, that talk about the sovereign people. The words people of the United States and citizens are synonymous terms and mean the same thing. They both describe the political body who, according to our republican institutions, form the sovereignty, who hold the power and conduct the government through their representatives. They are what we familiarly call the sovereign people, and every citizen is one of those people and a constituent member of the sovereignty. Canada. This is a Canadian court case. The sovereign people, through their representatives, have created the court and the board as well as a municipal council and defined the rights and duties of each. That's Toronto. That's reference Casa Loma. That's a Canadian court case. This is another Canadian court case. The Parliament of Canada and the legislatures of the several provinces are sovereign within their spheres defined by the British North America Act, but none of them has the unlimited capacity of the individual. And so again, same thing in Canada. This is Attorney General of Nova Scotia versus Attorney General of Canada in the Lord Nelson Hotel case, 1951. And this is Australian case, Australia Capital Television versus Commonwealth. Translated into constitutional terms, it denotes that the sovereign power which resides in the people is exercised on their behalf by their representatives. Another Australian case, the powers of government in this country are derived from the people, who are the ultimate sovereign. And England, every individual was sovereign over himself. U.S. This is a New York court case. The people are sovereign and not bound by general words and statutes restrictive of prerogative of right, title, or interest unless expressly named. Acts of limitation do not bind the king or the people. The people have been ceded all the rights of the king, the former sovereign. And that's People versus Herkimer, 1825. At the revolution, the sovereignty devolved on the people, and they are truly the sovereigns of the country, but they are sovereigns without subjects and have none to govern but themselves. The citizens of America are equal as fellow citizens and as joint tenants in the sovereignty. Chisholm versus Georgia. People of a state are entitled to all the rights which formerly belonged to the king by his prerogative. Lansing versus Smith. It will be admitted on all hands that with the exception of the powers granted to the states and the federal government through the constitutions, the people of the several states are unconditionally sovereign within their respective spheres. U.S. Supreme Court. Ohio Life Insurance Company versus DeBolt. This is England. Citizens of London are either freemen or such as reside and keep a family in the city, and such are citizens and freemen, and some are not, who have not so great privileges as the others. The citizens of London may prescribe against the statute because their liberties are reinforced by statute. In other words, they can basically say, I'm not going to follow the statute. And so that would make sense if you were the king. You could say, well, that doesn't apply to me. You know what I mean? But you have to notice them. It's under martial law. Everything's under martial law. And so if you wonder why it doesn't seem like this is working these days, it's because everything's under martial law, and everything changes when you go under martial law. And under martial law, that's international law. It's part of Roman law, and the Roman cult is now in power. And that's why it's civil law, okay? It keeps going. Anyways, governments are but trustees acting under derived authority and have no power to delegate what is not delegated to them, but the people, as the original fountain, might take away what they have delegated and entrust to whom they please. The sovereignty in every state resides in the people of the state, and they may alter and change their form of government at their own pleasure. U.S. Supreme Court again, Luther versus Borden. So you think about it. Do I have the power to take your property and give it to your neighbor because he does not have food to eat or for any other reason? Do I? No, I don't. Well, then neither does the government, because the only power the government has is power that I have delegated. And if I don't have that power, then I can't possibly delegate that power. But what happens is you go under martial law, and you basically have a military dictatorship. It's the same stuff that went on with the War of Independence. It's exactly the same stuff that went on with the War of Independence. Sovereignty itself is, of course, not subject to law, for it is the author and source of law. But in our system, where sovereign powers are delegated to the agencies of government, sovereignty itself remains with the people, by whom and for whom all government exists and acts. U.S. Supreme Court, Iqbal versus Hopkins. There is no such thing as the power of inherent sovereignty in the government of the United States. In this country, the sovereignty resides in the people, and Congress can exercise no power which they have not by their Constitution entrusted to it. All else is withheld. Juilliard versus Greenman. Absolute title. This is talking about land patents. The land patent is the minument of title, such title being absolute in its nature, making the sovereigns absolute freeholders on their lands. So if you're an absolute freeholder on your land, then you are sovereign. But the problem is we get mixed up in contracts, and that's why you're having to pay a yearly rent called property taxes. Finally, the patent is the only evidence of legal fee simple title. Many ignorant people claim that sovereignty is held by the group and not individually. I was visited by the FBI and the Texas DPS in March of 2011, and they told me at that time that I'm listed as sovereign in their system. But in considering the question before us, it must be borne in mind that there is no law of nations standing between the people of the United States and the government, okay? And that comes down to martial law, because martial law falls under the law of nations. And so you can still argue, make these arguments, But the problem is that these judges, it's an uphill battle because the judges are all, it's martial law. They'll tell you I can do anything I want in here, and under martial law they can, and so you have to make sure and cover all the bases because and what I would do, and that I think there's somebody on my group actually that's been talking about it recently, is bringing up Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, which is basically says that the